Yes, sir. How's your heart doing, family? How you feeling? How you sleep last night? It's your favorite, Mufa. Coming back with another office hour with Mufa. I was gonna say coming back with with the old thing, but it's a new thing. You know what I'm saying? We ain't on the old thing. We on the new thing. Shout out to yeah, man. Shout out to my spiritual court for getting me back active, helping me show up again. It's been a time. Um, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I really wasn't really sure about how I was gonna start back doing this. And I think leading with my very vulnerable, transparent self, just on how I'm feeling and what's going on, is the way to go. Today was a very, very tender day. My heart was very tender, very wide the fuck open. So, you know, I think the focus of today is being present. The focus of the day is showing up. The name of this episode is called Honor the Disrespect. Um, for those of y'all who don't know me, my name is Mufa. Mob Mufa. Some of y'all know me as what y'all know me as. For the world, my name is Mufa. I am a psycho-spiritualist, intersectional healer. Um, for those of y'all that don't know what that means, I'm gonna share a little story, man. I had a had a run in on these thread streets, man, with some folks who decided they wanted to jank instead of join in the exchange, with me when I said I love Future. Future my favorite rapper. And I said I was a psycho spiritualist who uses Future as an example of the embodiment of pain in the masculine and how what pain looks like when you embody it as well as when you transmute it and turn it into something positive and something good. And motherfuckers say psycho spiritualist. I'm talking about Jank City. You feel what I'm saying? I'm like, hey man, hold on. 10 years ago, I'd have been fucked up about it because it's black women, and I love black women. Definitely no disrespect, but that's kind of the point of today. What do you do? How do you show up when disrespect has been handed to you in your front door? How do you move? Do you stay in the same environment and allow the disrespect to keep on attacking you for the sake of pride, for the sake of saving face, for the sake of masculinity, taking the higher road, being sassy. That seems to be a new thing, calling men sassy, or the masculine sassy for what we know in this psychotherapeutic space as setting boundaries. Boundaries being the safe distance at which I can love myself and love you. Again, safely being the key word in that. And in this season, I think it's important for us to slow down and ask ourselves, are we honoring the disrespect? And what is the disrespect and our experiences in unsafe environments? What the hell is it teaching us? How are we moving with that awareness and with that understanding that the places that we're comfortable with aren't really the safest spaces for us? I woke up today and was triggered by some things, and I had to really be mindful of my sensitivities in that moment because I made a promise to myself and to my elders that I was not going to respond from a place of emotion, and I was going to integrate the reality that I'm the adult, the elder, in the majority of the situations that I'm in, especially with family. And it's hard, very hard when you're in a place where um, you feel like you're getting torn down and just your sensitivities just keep getting poked. You know what I'm saying? You already got that flesh wound. It's healing. However, it ain't fully healed, and you just feel like it keep getting reopened. So, what do you do when that's the case? How do you move with grace for yourself and empathy for yourself when that happens? Yeah, man. For those of y'all, I know my mantra being focused on the work. I think the new one in this season where I've had to really sit with myself, sit with my shadows, is honor the disrespect. What does it mean to honor the disrespect? what does it mean to honor the experiences and the ways in which people have shown up and intentionally cause you pain, um, intentionally showing you that they don't have your best interest at heart, intentionally showing you that they aren't places where you can grow. I talk a lot about with my clients, what are environments conducive for your growth? We all deserve to be in environments that are conducive for our growth, for our safety. And when I say growth, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, um, yeah, for our growth. And at the big age of 36, um, it's real for me to honor all of the experiences that I've had personally, professionally, where disrespect was what was on the menu. And for a lot of us, when that happens, like we get into these narratives, you know what I'm saying? We start internalizing the projections of others, internalizing the opinions of others, internalizing the actions of others as it being something wrong with us. For most of my life, like I said, for those of y'all that don't know, I'm a first generation Nigerian, Cameroonian, Atlantan. So with that being the case, it's been a lot of me having to, create a narrative and find a narrative and story for myself that fits. Who am I? My intersections of blackness that make up my identity. Born and raised on the south side of Atlanta. Like I said, half Nigerian with a father who was always around the corner but never present. Um, Cameroonian, in a community of uncles and aunties, none who really could really have a super hands-on, approach with me, for the sake of having to navigate poverty and being immigrants in America. Um, First gen Atlantan, born and raised in Fulton County, Georgia Baptist Memorial Hospital. Not many people can say that. Really raised off old Nat, what I'm saying, College Park in the 90s. So we talking Freaknik, we talking the culture, the birthplace of what we now know is popular culture, the mecca of black culture in America, Atlanta, Georgia. Um, the insecurities around an identity that is very much embodied in me, and then my identity, the insecurities for all of the layers. First generation, being first of my family, born here, Nigerian, not raised by a father, so not having a last name that I don't understand fully and understand the spiritual components and what comes with that, the lineage, the legacy that comes with that name. You know, Immersed in the Cameroonian community that, unbeknownst to me, really wasn't fucking with my mom and them like that. Um, had some disdain for them in certain ways. Them being the first family, my grandfather being the Baptist, the pastor. Um, a lot of things you don't understand and realize. So storytelling, for me as a psycho-spiritualist, understanding stories, understanding, and we call it, we look at this healing as Sankofa work. I'm a psych, Sarah McKeever Days often on this podcast because this is her thing. Sankofa shadow work. She got a book coming out and she's going to talk a lot about that and what that looks like. But the idea of going back and getting and retrieving the narratives of your ancestors, your people, where you come from, the community, and sitting with yourself to understand the story that you're telling yourself. And then also going forward and imagining a world where you're safe and you're enough. Um, so when we say honor the disrespect, for me, it's been an archiving of the seasons, the archiving of the experiences that I've had. For those of y'all that'll follow me from Trap Therapist podcast to How's Your Heart Doing podcast and to this iteration, my story a little bit, my personal story, and part of that being tender and how I felt today was really, me sitting with the realities of how much I miss my child for one. Been away from Alabama for about 6 months now. And that season was a season of radical service. It saw me show up and serve as a mental performance coach in my alma mater, working with the athletic department. Saw me showing up as a crisis therapist, working for a local agency. Also saw me, doing my private practice work as a psychotherapist. In my personal life, I was, and I'll talk about it more. I'm gonna go in depth as we keep going. But I show up as an ethically non-monogamous black man. So what that means, Will, glad you asked. Um, Sitting with having multiple partners, multiple relationships, where when I say ethically non-monogamous, it's being honest, telling the truth to the people you're in a relationship with about who you are, who you're engaged with, what you're doing. Um, that really separates, for me, my practice with polyamory or the poly life. Real monogamish around them motherfuckers. Commitment ain't the issue. Honesty and safety is. It took me 30 some years to realize that I was never really safe in the relationships that I've been in emotionally with majority of the women that I've been with. No knock on them. Um, it's just me realizing that for me to be my whole self, my full self, to be my honest self and not perform, um, I needed to identify that safety. And when trauma, you have this history of complex trauma in your life, being raised in an environment, growing up with a special needs sibling, first cousin, paranoid schizophrenia hit her in the early 90s. Her and my aunt basically were an extension of my household with my mom and my brother growing up. So being in an environment where you're, you know, having to really, really regulate and really monitor and really identify what is safe and really see that the adults around you weren't necessarily the people that could protect you in certain ways. I think that internalizes and creates a story, it creates a narrative. It influences you in a very particular, very specific way. Um, so yeah, it's important, to archive and to sit with who you become based off of the experiences in your life. Um, how is the story that you're telling actually working for you? How's it working against you? Um, when you show up in these ways, in these spaces, in these violent ass spaces, um, how do you respond? How do you respond to the external violence? And how do you respond to the internal violence and the ways in which your personal narrative is causing you to react and cope in the best ways that you can? For me, it's been a season of extreme retrospection, introspection, um, contemplation um, around who I am, around how I'm gonna show up. It's been really difficult at times to be proud of myself. Um, it gets really heavy when I sit sometimes with what I'm unable to do. For all the ways I've sacrificed and I show up and I look at my baby over my shoulder and like, so thankful to have 10 years of being her dad. And I'm mindful of in those 10 years, all the ways in which I haven't been able to show up how I wanted to. I haven't been present for, some of the trips, even though I've been present for 75% of them motherfuckers. But it's not even about that. It's about what you missed. Even now in 6 months, there's so much that's going on day to day that I'm not tapped into and with, a phone call and FaceTime, a few times a week. That only does so much, So yeah, man, honoring the seasons has been hard, bro. No cap, no capitan, no kinini, no kinini, man. You know, um, this for me is really just that dialogue. It's just that inner conversation, with my spiritual team, with my spiritual court, with myself, wanting to share it with you all. Having to make hard decisions, having to protect myself in ways I never thought I was going to protect myself. Um, I've been the most popular motherfucker in school since high school. Went to college, played Q, um, played ball. Was him on college in college. Um, got out, built social platforms, built community, as they say, leaned in the community in Alabama. And to be honest, the heartbreak around a very, very vulnerable time in your life, in my 20s, my early 20s, where I really was excited and really eager to um, create safety for young Black people in the city I was in, and taking chances by being in leadership, taking chances by getting involved in politics, by speaking up and out, um, calling myself an activist, being on the front lines in Alabama of all places. I'm from Atlanta, so for me it's like, yeah, civil rights. You know what I'm saying? Activism work, social justice work, while creating social platforms and doing things to build community. It just makes sense. We come from the we come from the Kenny Burns era. You know what I'm saying? Greg Street. You feel me? Like, you got people who are really rooted in their community, and the community embraces them. And for me, I thought that was going to be my path. I thought that I was going to be you know seen as an adopted son of this place, and that's not necessarily what happened. And it messed me up. It broke my heart in a lot of ways. And then your relationships break down, the money breaks down. Um, since 2016, 2017, as I left Alabama, I've moved back 5 times. Each time so I could be a father. Um, each time me having to really sit with my separation anxiety and the ways in which I had to go. Very negative coping mechanisms, putting myself in harm's way, using sex and certain sexual behaviors as ways that I cope. Um, and it's hard to talk about it. At the same time, it's healing because I know I'm not alone. Um, I was telling one of my clients how a season of me not being the provider, that the financial provider, um, in the relationship with my daughter's mother, and how I internalized that, and how for the first time in my life I actually questioned who I was as a man, questioned my masculinity, questioned, yeah, um, my desirability. At the time I was hella overweight, about 20, 30 pounds. Really wasn't feeling myself. And that's where the non-monogamy went so ethical. I was on bullshit, big bullshit. For those of y'all that are not new here, I'm the one that talks about myself first. So if this is not a safe space for Black men. I'm gonna just say that. I know I might not. If y'all come on here at a certain point, I'm like, what you mean by that? My nigga, it's not. It is what it is. I've been doing this shit for 10 years on the internet with nothing but content aimed at Black men. And guess what? My primary clientele has been Black women. Um, so when I call us out, I'm calling myself out. I'm talking about my losses. I'm talking about the violence that was perpetuated onto me from childbirth, that internalized and it became embodied. And now that embodiment turned into, what I'm saying, behavior that wasn't representative of my actual character. So in the season where my dad passed, in a season where I'm losing things, I'm losing relationships, I'm losing, community, I'm losing money. I ain't one making no money. Um, Pushed up against the wall in a situation as a father that was so uncomfortable with people around me that call themselves family but weren't looking out for me. Yeah, I did some fuck shit. You know what I'm saying? I did some fuck shit, but I did not was committed to not becoming a fuck nigga. And I think for a lot of us, that's the hardest thing to say. Like, yeah, I did some fuck nigga shit. I don't mean I'm a fuck nigga. At my lowest, who I am at my lowest is not indicative of my legacy. And who I am at my lowest is also a part of my legacy because there's wisdom there in the valley. There's wisdom there, in that pain. So when I say honor the disrespect, it's also honoring the ways that you disrespected yourself. Honor the ways in which your divinity was not necessarily on display, and the ways in which you forgot that you were God's gift. You forgot that you was God's child. You forgot that God really got you, and it ain't really about how people see you. It's about what you know and about how God see you. And that's hard when you've been stripped down. Like I done been stripped down so many times, y'all. Like I don't even know what to say. That's why I just had to come on here and use what I got, which is my mouthpiece, me being a conduit. Because sometimes it shit just be feeling lost. I spent more time crying today than I did anything, if I'm being honest. Like, um, spent more time, begging, begging for my spiritual core, for my ancestors to make sense of this shit. Shit just don't make sense right now, and it's hard. Hard for me to accept that I'm here. Hard for me to accept that things will not be the same ever again with people in my life, with relationships, with family. Um, like a nigga had to block one of my best friends a couple weeks ago, bro. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like that shit don't feel good. But it's like when your presence disrupt my spirit at this point, I gotta trust that. You know what I mean? My spiritual gifts and your intuition say, hey man, this person ain't really good for you. You gotta get them going. You can ask questions later, but for me, again, I ain't new to this shit. I'm true to this shit. So that's been it. How do you honor the disrespect? How do you honor the seasons where people continually showed you that they weren't trying to walk with you and grow with you versus just monitor you, versus just see and, you know, really still try to steal the sauce, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just call it spade a spade. Like a lot of motherfuckers be trying to steal the sauce and shit. I ain't doing. You really can't steal this sauce. You feel me? Then you can try, but you can't. You can't steal this shit. So that's really been the thing, man. I'm so uncomfortable right now. Um, so uncomfortable right now, and I know that this ain't the end. I know this is just the beginning, and I know also like it's important for me to show up and talk about these things and teach. Um, Honoring the disrespect looks like you really knowing how to build those walls, those boundaries, how to put the structures in place to protect yourself, how to realign with safety, how to radicalize the definition of safety and what that means for you. Um, because we're so used to walking into harm's way, we'll rather run and get back into that rat race of putting our bodies and putting our minds, our spirits, our souls in harm's way, in violent spaces and situations, because violence is what we're used to in this white supremacist capitalist ass society. It's what we're used to, like in relationship especially. And I'm talking to the masculine. The feminine gonna get it, but it's like you gonna go holler and fuck with fine shit, but fine shit just aesthetically fine. You know what I'm saying? Fine shit heart ugly than a motherfucker. Fine shit ain't got nothing good for you. Fine shit you want to take from you. But you're gonna justify putting yourself in harm's way because it's fine shit. You gonna justify putting your dick in an unsafe space because it's fine shit. Like there are no actual guidelines and structure for safety for a lot of us. And most of us live our life like that, on the edge. You know what I'm saying? Falling for poison that is pretty. And the whole time is like, man, the whole time your spiritual court, like, hey, bro, you need to sit your ass down. And then you sit down and your phone ain't ringing, niggas ain't on your line, niggas ain't trying to get no money with you, this, that, and the third. Now you resentful. Now it's fuck the world. Now nobody wants you. Now, nigga, you really being protected. It's really your spiritual court saying, hey, bro, chill, bro. It ain't you being lonely. It's us having to mold you, get your discipline back. You know what I'm saying? When the last time you said no to alcohol? When the last time you said, no, bro, I ain't finna smoke. I ain't smoking right now. Fuck my smoking for. That's real shit. I had to ask myself the same thing. It's like, what the fuck am I getting high for right now? Like, I could just cry and feel that same feeling, you know? So honoring the disrespect has to be you looking at the versions of yourself that you know are expired. I can't cope in that way when I know that those actions gave me this type of pain, hurt me and others. Put myself in environments sexually that not only hurt myself, but it hurt people I love and cared about. Which forced me back into honesty, right? Sometimes you gotta really honor the fact that the bullshit can get you back on track, right? As much as the shit hurt, the bullshit can get you back on track, right? Those seasons of disrespect where you disrespected yourself, if you sit still and integrate the wisdom, it's like, you know what, I'm not gonna do that again because that hurt me and it hurt people I cared about, right? And for a lot of us, we can't get back in relationship with the people and the situation's over with and gone, but you can learn and you can grow from the wisdom, right? You can do better for yourself, right? It's not about love for others, it's about love for yourself. How are you showing up in this season to love yourself? And that's something that I've had to really sit and look at, man. Everything get gone. I'm talking about shit be jumping, bunking, boom, boom. Y'all know I bet I want to go back to Alabama right now, go be with my child. Just to make some shit shake. Throw myself right back in the harm's way. Don't give a fuck. For my baby, oh, I'm there. done it before. It ain't the first, second, third. It's like, nigga, I do that shit again, right? It's the comfort I'm used to. It's the violence I'm used to, if I'm being honest. It's the disrespect I'm used to. Right? For myself and from others. Disrespect, guys, is friendship. Motherfuckers coming around you because they know how far you are. However, they're not trying to see you grow. They're not trying to see you get blessed. No. And that's just you gotta just accept. Acceptance is the hard part, but that's a part of trap therapy. Trust, responsibility, awareness, and the three P's. Provide, protect, progress. You know what I'm saying? So the first step of the trap therapist process is awareness. What can you see? Can you even see the disrespect, man? Do you even know when it's getting served up? You feel me? A lot of us don't even know when that shit get handed on the plate looking like filet mignon. You know what I'm saying? Filet mignon. No, my nigga. I'm like, good poison. You know what I'm saying? Good activist. Good drink. You feel me? Yeah, it's gonna sit that shit to sleep, man. It's gonna kill you. So, I told myself these episodes weren't gonna be too long, man. I just want y'all to know that honoring the disrespect is one of the highest forms of love that you can give yourself. No matter who it is, I'm teaching my child, man. Look, I don't give a fuck if it's me. You fuck it with your mama. You don't stay in places where people say fuck you and disrespect you consistently. That ain't what you do. And as much as it hurts, most of us have loyalty to spaces where we get served disrespect constantly. And my challenge for you today is for you to let your heart break, cry the tears you need to cry, so you can honor the disrespect and create the safety for you to have the environment conducive for your growth. All right, man. Did nobody told y'all today? I really, really love you, man. Thank y'all for telling me real vulnerable shit. I feel like I'm finna cry. Really vulnerable shit, because did not feel like coming on every day, and I did, and I'm proud of myself because I ain't gave up on myself. You know what I'm saying? It's your favorite, man. Y'all have a great night. Nobody told you that I love you. Peace.